Let's welcome Republican Greg Walden of Oregon. Great to have you on, Congressman. Before we get to Governor Cuomo, you're a ranking member of House Energy and Commerce. What happened with the hearing today with Dr. Fauci?
You know, I thought it was a good hearing. I thought they laid out the good work the administration's done and what lies ahead for the future. The Democrats spent their time just bashing the president and blaming others. But what we tried to dig in on is, are we going to be ready for the fall? Where are we with testing? Where are we with a vaccine and with treatments? And no administration's worked harder or faster to get answers, to get supplies, to get equipment, and to move forward than the Trump administration has. So I think it was a good hearing overall. I think we finally got to the facts of the matter and are able to talk about what lies ahead and how we're going to be ready to address whatever comes at us this fall.
You know, the public was largely kept in the dark about Governor Cuomo's move to put COVID recovering patients back into nursing homes, kept in the dark until the story broke about a month after his executive order.
Right.
Sir, I want you to watch Governor Cuomo first pay lip service to the claim he takes responsibility, but then he turns around, finger points, blames the government, blames Europe. Watch this.
In my state, I owned the situation. I'll answer for my actions, and then history will decide.
I've said a number of times, local governments have to do their job. My father's advice to me, take responsibility, own it. I have taken responsibility for every bad decision and every unpopular decision.
No, look, if you look at how many people died in nursing homes in New York compared to other states, we actually have a lower percentage of people who died in nursing homes. Yes, we had more people die in nursing homes than anywhere else because we had more people die, because the federal government missed the boat and never told us that this virus was coming from Europe and not from China. So New York had more cases, more deaths, and more deaths in nursing home because that's who the virus affects. It affects senior citizens. We know that. You look at any state, and they had a tremendous number of deaths in nursing homes. It's all a political charade.
Okay, critics say Cuomo is on the political charade. Sir, do viruses from China treat senior citizens differently than viruses from Europe? I mean, if Cuomo knew the source was Europe, would he have blocked COVID patients going into nursing homes?
No, and in fact, Liz, look, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid put out guidance March 13th. He did his executive order March 25th. CDC has been very clear on this. We knew seniors were being attacked by this virus more than anybody else. I think Governor Cuomo's executive order, which defied science, will go down as the deadliest mistake of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's a horrible loss of life, unnecessary. And to his idea that somehow New York was no worse off than other states, explain why the rate of death of nursing home patients is 5 times that in New York of that in Florida. And I'll tell you why, because Governor Cuomo sent sick nursing home patients who had tested positive for COVID back into nursing home environments that were not ready or prepared, and then ordered that they could not be tested for COVID. Unlike Governor DeSantis in Florida, who realized seniors were most vulnerable and went the other direction.
And you know, I hear what you're saying. Governor Cuomo also signed off on a legal liability shield so people could not sue nursing homes after the industry lobbied him in Albany. And here's the thing. He blames CDC guidelines. CDC, and I hear what you're saying, CDC is saying, our guidelines say you should have had PPE, you should have had inspections, You didn't do any of that. And PolitiFact is saying, Governor Cuomo, you're totally wrong. You can't blame the federal government or the CDC or anyone else. You can only blame yourself.
And you know what? Not a dime of the money Congress appropriated in a bipartisan way for testing in the CARES package has gone to testing in nursing homes from New York. Not a dime. And now he's threatening to cut funding for Medicaid for nursing homes in the middle of all this crisis after he made them a deadly dumping ground for COVID-positive patients. And these aren't just numbers. These aren't just patients. These are fathers and mothers and grandfathers and grandmothers who entire life depended on proper care. He defied the guidance of CMS. He went about it his own way with his executive order, and as a result, they're 5 times higher death rates among seniors in nursing homes in New York than in Florida. The same thing happened basically in New Jersey and Michigan as well. California started down this path and then immediately reversed course, and they're at like 2%. And so, I mean, New York is a horrible example of bad governance, bad leadership that not only was deadly, but also unnecessarily put all the workers at risk as well. And so this made no sense.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
you know, he's cheered and applauded for the aesthetics of seeming passionate at his pressers, but he routinely fails to take responsibility for the obvious, consistently blaming others, and at one point even saying governors don't do pandemics. Critics say some governors just don't read their state's pandemics plans.
Yeah, well, he certainly showed how not to do it, especially with this executive order on March 25th. And again, that was nearly 2 weeks after the Trump administration issued guidance about how to treat patients who go back to nursing homes. And the last thing any of us would have wanted was for our mother, father, grandmother, grandfather to be shoved back into a nursing home, or if they're there to have a COVID-19 positive patient discharged from a hospital and brought back in. I mean, they weren't set up for that. Now, there are ways to manage that. My state of Oregon did it much better because the Nursing Home Association itself said we're going to wall off these nursing homes. That's where the vulnerable populations are. They were way ahead of the curve. And so we've been in much better shape. New York, worst example, deadliest example, didn't need to happen. And it all happened on Governor Cuomo's watch under his pen.
Congressman, it's great to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you come back soon and join us again. Good to see you, my friend.